Hi guys, and welcome back to another World Painter tutorial. So this is going to be my 6th World Painter tutorial, and we're going to be covering Dwarven style caves and caverns. So I've already done a couple of kind of other World Painter tutorials, if you haven't already seen those, and a lot of them I will be kind of using bits from them to kind of complete these tutorials. I've done a couple of the kind of cave things like the sea caves, but this is kind of a completely different style, which is why I've split it up into a separate tutorial, and I'm planning on doing more cave tutorials which are more specific like this one. So in this tutorial we're going to be covering kind of a couple different layers and also how to use multiple cave layers almost on top of each other to get the kind of desired effect. You can see here that we have a very large cavern which is filled with lava, but around the side we have this other kind of cave layer which has got these open areas. There's also a central platform which is another separate cave layer, and you can use it. There are problems with this, but I'm still working on it and I'll have updates if I can figure out a kind of fix for it. So you can just see here the kind of different layers that we've used to kind of get the effect. It's a really cool way to actually use this, and also to set out already if you're going to be doing a Dwarven build. It kind of gives you the correct setting to use, and it can really inspire you to kind of create something a bit different. So let's get started on this World Painter tutorial. Okay, so we're going to start a new map, and because today we're going to be building a kind of Dwarven cave and kind of cave system and go through those kind of ones, but mainly those kind of like Dwarven style is what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to call this one Dwarf Cave, and I'm going to turn it to flat, turn off beaches, and we can just leave that as it kind of is, let it generate. There we go. And the first thing we need to do is create a mountain. So we are going to be making a Dwarven cave, so we're going to need a Dwarven mountain. What I'm going to do here is just grab one of my kind of tools, my kind of custom brushes. If you haven't seen my other tutorials, like my first one, which covers that, go ahead and check that out first, as it'll tell you how to install custom brushes, as well as kind of where to find them and what you're looking for. But I'm just going to raise this up. So we're going to basically be creating something like, Erebor, that Lonely Mountain, that style. So just a singular mountain. One thing that you do want to do, and especially with kind of these like kind of mountain type things, is to make sure that you have a flat face where you can actually kind of enter the mountain. If you look at, for example, Erebor, it's got that really flat kind of entrance. I'm also going to mess around this terrain as well, even though it's a super flat world, just because I kind of prefer messing around a little bit. But we're going to just see where we are here. Bring this right up. And where are we so far? Only 100, so we've got loads to actually go up to get to the top. So there we go. So I'm going to start to really push down this brush to make these cool kind of edges. And then we got this. Still only up a little bit. And then here as well. I continue raising this up a little bit more. You can see how kind of strong those have come out now, and I'm just going to do this on a kind of bigger scale as well. Just kind of flatten these out a bit. And around here as well. So we've got this, and we've got this. And where are we so far? 206, so that's not too bad. I'm just going to I'll just raise the intensity a little bit just to kind of pull out these side bits. And what you want to kind of do is, you've got these kind of bits here, you want to kind of pull those out with the land as well. And that'll make your mountains look a lot better. Now we're just going to flatten out some of these. We don't want it to be too steep. See this natural one here, I'm just going to bring that across and really accentuate that. And this is where I'm going to have my kind of Dwarven entrance kind of in this part. And I'm just going to get the flatten tool and flatten out an area kind of in front of the mountain. Actually just cut straight into it. And because I've got this brush which is quite spiky, this will create pretty spiky kind of cliffs. Now I don't want them to be too big, so I'm going to just kind of get around here. So I've got this kind of almost this kind of little area in front of it. If we just go into 3D view, we'll have a quick look at it so far. Doesn't look too bad. We've got kind of this bit here. We've got the top of the mountain as well. I'm just going to smooth out some of these bits here, look a bit weird, and actually just turn down the smooth intensity because it went a bit nuts. Smooth this out. And another thing you can do to smooth out kind of areas is actually use the kind of flatten tool. Put your intensity up to about, I don't know, 72. Just zoom in, I'll show you what I mean by this. And you can pull it and then drop it and then pull it and then drop it. And you'll see that this kind of stuff happens, but you can then pull from the lower layers to actually smooth it out. And this will give you a different kind of thing, and also just pressing the button as well. We'll just flatten using that brush, and this works really well with custom brushes to create some really interesting terrain. So we're just going to cut into... Actually, we're going to stretch this out a little bit. You can see it's already changing everything. And then just raise up a little bit more. Use this kind of spiky one again. Raise up there. And I think we're almost at 2.5 for this, or 2.55. Yeah, we're almost there, so I'm just going to raise that up a little bit more. And there we go, so we started to kind of cap it, so I'm just going to go down a little bit like that. And then mess it up a little bit there. So there we go. And then just stretch these out. And this is just to kind of make it look more mountainous. But we've got this kind of area here. I'm just going to extend this over onto these cliffs, just so they're kind of it's getting pulled down a little bit more, like that. And also across here. We've mainly got this kind of flat area. So, it looks kind of a bit weird, but as an example, it'll kind of work quite nicely. You've got this flat kind of face, and you can see that already I've just pulled this over. That's already changed it. Maybe you had an extra mountain over here or something like that, you know. You could have an entire range going down here. It's just one of the kind of more harsher faces of it. So we've got this kind of area here. I'm just going to pull that as well. But we want to basically just grab a terrain, and this can be any of these terrains. It doesn't really matter, because what we're going to be doing is right-clicking. What that does is it applies these in-dimensional properties, this default terrain that you've got here. Now, I usually turn the snow down a bit because I kind of like the snow. So we've got that there. And then we're just going to basically right-click, and that will give us a mountain pretty much instantly. Also, I'm going to add my custom cliff layer. So I'm just going to right-click and do an import file. So for these settings that I've called lots of rock in here, but it's actually cliffs, go to my first tutorial. You'll get all the settings for that and how to save it, and you'll just be able to put it in there. We're actually going to do above, let's do above 45 degrees to make it really rocky, and we're going to do at or below. And you don't want to do it, obviously, if you had it on at or below, like, 255, it'll override the snow, but you do want it to snow above a certain kind of level. So we're going to do, I'm actually going to cover up this brown layer, so we're going to do 130, let's do 140. That's below 140, so it'll cover up some of the brown, but that doesn't really matter. And we're just going to apply that. And there you go, you can see where it's kind of applied itself. It's all over there. So now we've got some cool kind of cliffs in this part, and we've got some very strong cliffs, which actually mixes in really nicely, as well as these side bits. So just have a quick look at that on the 3D view. So there we go. This obviously looks really kind of ugly, but I did throw it together ridiculously fast. This should be actually lower, I think, and I'm going to do that quickly. So I'm going to grab like kind of one of these other brushes and actually just lower this a bit, so it's not as kind of harsh. And then take off these modifiers, do the right click thing again. And actually I need to take off the at or below, there we go. Do that, and then reapply it again. And I don't know what that looks like. That might look better, it might not look any different. But actually it made it kind of look a bit worse, because now it's really square. But you could obviously kind of mess around with this for ages. This side here's started to look quite cool with these kind of bits here. And I'd probably, if I was continuing this on as a proper mountain range, actually have mountains kind of here. Probably, we could have it over here. So what we're going to do is going to add a custom tree layer. We're just going to do add a custom layer, and then do import custom layer. And I've already got these tree settings. Again, my second tutorial will actually cover this, so you can always grab those. I'll put it on 15% and only on terrain grass. So we only want them to spawn on grass, which makes sense. And I'm pretty much just going to paint this everywhere. As we're not kind of being too picky, it's more of a kind of aesthetics type thing. Just to make it look a bit more kind of epic. It also cover up some of these really bad bits that I've put in that I haven't really spent too much time on, and trees can do that quite easily, just hide stuff. What we also want to do is, we're kind of going to have our entrance here. I'm just going to cut out a little area so we don't have too many trees there. Okay, so we're now going to create the actual Dwarven caves themselves. So first thing I want to do is note where this bottom kind of layer is. So we've got 69. So remember that or write it down. Just this kind of level where we're actually going to go in. I'm actually going to flatten as well. Just this part out here. This is just to make it easy for just the kind of cave bit. They're going to press this plus, and we're going to add a custom cave tunnel layer. So do OK, well not OK, but click on that. And I've gone through the cave kind of tool a couple of times before, but I'm going to treat this as if you've never used it before, because this is kind of very specific. So you've got your floor, and that was on 69, so you could have it on that if you wanted to. But what I want to do is I want to make almost a bottomless pit feel. So I'm going to drop this right the way down to 10, or actually even lower. It doesn't really matter how low. We can do it on 10. Let's do it on 10 for now. We do want this on fitted depth, so you can see if you do this, it kind of changes. But we want it on just fitted level. We want it to go down to 10. We're also going to put the variation range up. You can see this bumps up a little bit, and we'll put some spikes in. We'll do roughness 2 or 3. Do it on 3. We don't want too much variation there. We just want kind of soft spikes. If you turn this, not the level, if you turn the variation range up, you'll see that these spikes kind of grow and they can go massive, really. We only want a little bit. I'm just going to leave that on 10. You can do the same. You can put your own materials in the floor, but because it's going to be dark, it doesn't really matter. The ceiling. Now we have to kind of choose where we want the ceiling, because we did have this at 69. We want actually... Okay, so now we have to choose the ceiling, so we're going to do fitted depth, and you can see how that's kind of changed it. We've got this bottom layer down here, but this will actually morph with the kind of mountain, and this is how to get the most out of a kind of Dwarven cave using this kind of cave tunnel layer. And what the level now does is how many blocks is between the kind of cave and the actual kind of wall of the mountain. So we're going to just do this to 20, I find is kind of acceptable. And that will give us the most amount of space. What you want with Dwarven caves is you want to have kind of like the most space that you can, so you can chip away at it or add things in, and it just makes everything a lot easier. We're also going to put the variation range up. We're going to make some spikes, do roughness 3, and we're going to get these spikes to about 20, which is quite extreme, but we'll see how that looks. If you go to the material, I'm going to click on this. We're going to do stone, we're going to do add material, we're going to do cobblestone. This we're actually going to put on 300. And we're also going to add material, and we're going to find glowstone, which is 89. So there we go, glowstone block. We're going to put this on 50. And just do OK. And what I'll do is I'll just explain quickly what the occurrence does. If you ignore the 0 on the end, you will get the percent. So we've got 65% stone, 30% cobblestone, and 50% glowstone. You could also mix in all other types of stuff. If you've got a texture pack with extra kind of metadata, you can add that in here as well. So that's quite cool. We're just going to do OK. Now the walls, the higher you put this up, the kind of round they're going to be. We're going to whack this up to 15, and we're going to see what that looks like. So I'll do that. And material, we'll just kind of select this. We'll just do stone. And we're going to do 40% cobblestone. We won't put any lights in it. We only want the lights kind of on the ceiling. So we've got 40% there, and do OK. Again, floor we're just going to leave. Now the first one we're going to try out is we're going to flood the caves. And you can see that it's done this at this kind of high level. Now our level here is 69. So we want to bring this right the way down, and we'll bring this down to like 20. And we're actually going to change it for lava. Now you can actually choose if you want it lava or water. It depends if you want to kind of have a waterlogged cavern or not. I will be going through a waterlogged cavern and how to get a sea cave getting into it and some cool stuff like that. But for this one, we're going to flood it with lava just to see the lighting, to see the size of it. And that will kind of do. And because we actually have our kind of layer lower down, I'm going to try and get the spikes to kind of go through. So I'm going to do it 13. The colour, this is the actual colour of the cave layer. I'm going to change it to a more dwarven bluish colour, I guess. I don't know. Is dwarves blue? I have no idea. But we'll change it to that. I'm going to rename the layer Dwarven Cave. Or Dwarven Sea. Because if you go too many letters, and I don't know if this will go over. But there you go. If you go too many kind of letters with the text, it will kind of do this weird thing. So I'm just going to do Dwarven Sea, and then that will fit in. So now what you've got is you've got your tools. I recommend this one, and The reason being that this one, when it starts to kind of fade out, it creates these weird things. It doesn't make smooth edges. You want a really harsh one, and I kind of advise constant circle. Turn off any modifiers that you might have, and whack that all the way up to 100%. So now you've got, down here, you've got the radius, and this is going to be how kind of big it is. What we're going to have is we're going to have a small entrance, then we're going to have a big kind of tunnel type thing. We're going to have a big area here. So I'm just going to kind of have, this is where my kind of Dwarven city would be sitting. And we're going to have a radius of 23. This will be where it actually goes in. So we've got this kind of entrance here, and it goes into this part. Now in the middle, what it's going to be is a big pillar. So I've just right-clicked to get rid of that. Obviously, you can just right-click on these if you wanted to. But that will just kind of create a pillar. That'll mean that no cave will actually spawn there, and you will get this kind of cool natural pillar. And if you've got the circle tool, you know, it'll be kind of a perfect circle, which is kind of cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to look in. This won't break the surface, but so we'll have to kind of punch through it. But we will have a look. So if we just do File, Export, and I'm just going to do Export only selected tiles. I'm just going to select kind of a small area. It does take quite a while to render out these caves because they are quite complex, especially underneath. So I will catch you in game after it's rendered out. Okay, so we're here in game, and here is our kind of massive cliffs. And I made this mountain a lot bigger than I expected it to. This is huge. I was expecting this, maybe like this kind of face here, to be about this big in total, but it goes on for quite a bit. Let's just have a quick look at the mountain as well. Obviously this face is ridiculously sheer, but the actual kind of mountainy part of it didn't turn out too badly, the cap. It's kind of got kind of 3 peaks in a way, which is a bit weird, and this part here would need to be smoothed out because it is really sheer on that face as well. But because we're not really caring about that so far, we're going to just try and jump inside the cave and have a look at what we've got. So I'm going to just fall down this huge thing here. But you can kind of imagine with this kind of style as well, you can have like 2 kind of sides and have a kind of outside Dwarven city, if that makes sense. And we're just going to punch through, and we are going to have to punch through a bit because there's 20 blocks, but here we go. We found it. Boom. There we go. Huge kind of caves. Now, one thing that I noticed we need to do, we need to actually smooth these out a lot better. Because that is really, really straight, which is fine. I mean, you can see the actual spikes here as it goes to the edge. And actually, we've got kind of an area down here. This is actually underneath the grass, as you can see. So if you kind of use this as well and use it to fit with the terrain, you can actually build kind of underneath the kind of grass and underneath your kind of main world layers. And I've done that on one of my maps. So the actual Dwarven kingdoms are kind of connected by these smaller tunnels all the way down at the bottom. But what you could do with this style, you can either have the lava in here, or you can just have it dark. We'll be doing it dark in a second. But you could have like a bridge coming out here and have pillars going down. Now, if we go into the main center place, this is where we put in that pillar. And I'm still not liking these kind of walls. They definitely need to be rounded out. But you can see the kind of pillar there. One thing cool about this, there we go, look at the roof. That looks awesome. So the roof looks really, really good, especially with that glowstone. I think 5% kind of just about does it, especially for the Dwarven stuff. So we've got these kind of big spikes in here. And I can't even remember what I was talking about after that. But basically what you could do is you could have kind of like kind of roads on the side or something like that. I'll actually be showing you how to cut into, just for example, if you wanted a cave going around the kind of perimeter of it, at like this layer or at the layer of the entrance, I'll be showing you how to do that. It's really, really easy. This is just to cover the kind of basics. So we are going to kind of try and round these edges off, get rid of this lava, and we're going to make it really dark. And we will also kind of add an extra layer to it. So there's the actual kind of height of the kind of entrance layer. So you can see how deep that would look if we don't have the lava. So let's do that. Okay, so we're going to remove the lava. So just right click and do edit. And we're just going to turn off flood the tunnels. So now it's just going to be kind of really dark down there, and just really dark in general. So these walls we're going to turn up to like 30, I think. We're gonna really just double that. Try that out. Also, we're going to create a new custom layer, which is going to be the entrance and also a kind of side bit that's going around it, so we could actually put on buildings, for example. So we're just going to do plus, add a custom cave tunnel layer. Now you need to remember here as well, we got this height of 69, that's going to be important. So do that, add a custom cave tunnel layer, and we're just going to call this, I don't know, outer layer or something. I have no idea. So we're just going to do that. We're going to have the kind of walls at about 10. So it's only going to be quite small. The floor, we're going to have that at 69, which is the kind of entrance. And we can have this at 95, something like that. And we'll just do fixed level. Roughen it up a bit. Add that roughness up. Also the floor, variate that. Rough it up just a little bit. Only one this time. And again, you can mess around with these materials. Blah, 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 blah. That kind of normal stuff. Give it a weird colour, and so we're just going to paint this to kind of create an entrance. So what we now want to do is we want to have kind of like a side bit as well, and I'm just going to create a cave going across here just so I can show you guys what that looks like. But we'll also have a kind of bit cutting across here. I'm going to kind of create some weird triangular pillars, I guess. And this is just going to go around the entire outside layer. It doesn't matter really if you put it in here, because that cavern layer is bigger than this cave layer, so it won't cut into it. So I'm just going to do this, go all the way around. And you have to be careful with this layer that you've just created, because if the height is kind of where you're actually placing it, it will cut through out to the outside. And then we got this going down here. I'm also going to show you how to do some kind of windows, so I'm just going to cut out this section, for example. And we're going to have this section go all the way around here, because we've got a bit of extra room. And we're just going to cut in. Actually, we'll make that smaller. I'm just going to do undo. Make it smaller. Go into here. Go into here. Go into here like that. So let's kind of try that out. So we've taken out the lava. We've added this extra cave layer going around the side. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so we're here in game again. And already we can kind of notice a difference. And we've got this kind of weird cave. So we could have made that cave a lot kind of taller. I think I also need to cut it into the side a bit better, but that doesn't really matter too much. You can see this well. Now if I kind of cut into the entrance part, this kind of bit underneath, and obviously if you carried that on, it could kind of disappear, which could be quite cool as well. So we've got this kind of weird entrance. I was quite rough with this tool completely, but we could have cut into here, so you've actually got a walkway. But if we walk down these tunnels, and we need to turn down the smoothness as well, or roundness even. So then we've cut into here, and we've kind of created these natural kind of areas, I guess. We cut in, and we've also got them around the side. And again, this is a problem with it being so smooth, so I'll show you how to fix that as well. We need to turn down that kind of width. Or is it width? I think it is width for the walls. Something like that, but we've also kind of cut into the side there. It looks a bit weird. But for example, you could have, you know, if you flatten this out a bit, and I'll show you how to do that as well. You have this completely flat and have dwarven houses on it, or you have kind of like a load of walkways and stuff going over to here. This could be like a central, I don't know, tower or something. I don't know. But now we've got the kind of weird, they look really strange, kind of really circular. But these are the kind of window type things you could have overlooking. So you could have a completely different part of the city that kind of disappears down a cave. But then every so often you get a kind of look over here, and you could detail these quite nicely as well. So then you could, you know, just have like a kind of walkway over here to look down over this kind of cavern. And this does look really cool. It kind of looks like an upside down tree, with this being the centerpiece, which is quite nice. So it's kind of up to you if you want to just have it dark, or if you want to actually have it full. And again, that looks really cool. So we're going to mess around with this extra cave layer that we've created. But I think the roundness of the other one is almost there. I might actually turn it up even more than 30. We're going to try that out. We're going to turn the roundness of the other one down. So let's do it. Okay, so we're just going to quickly go into our Dwarven cave one, and we're going to just whack that up to 50. I don't know, we're going to try this. And I don't think I've ever put it up this high, so I'm not too sure what's going to happen with that, but we'll try it. Do that. Now, outer layer, we're going to actually unsmooth this a bit. And we're going to make it just 5. So we're going to completely half that. I think it did just look too smooth for its layer. The bottom, what we're going to do is we're going to take off this variation, make it completely flat for building. And also the roof, we're just going to raise this a little bit like that, and we're going to add in our kind of stone and cobblestone. We'll do that again. We'll do it 300. And actually I forgot, add in glowstone as well, 18.9. And again, put that on 50, so that's 5%. Do okay, that's fine. What else do we need? The floor. We could vary that terrain as well and see what that looks like. Maybe do some stone, not some grass. You don't want grass inside. Stone, cobblestone. Again, keep these kind of the same, so 300 or 400. And we're going to put in some gravel as well, because it is kind of like a bottom layer, and we're just going to do 200% gravel. You could also add in, you know, mossy stone, that kind of stuff. That works really well. So now we've got this kind of flat layer. Going to do okay. And now to make sure that it kind of goes in the layer, we're actually going to overlap pretty much all of this. And this will make it stop doing those weird curvy bits. Even on here as well. So we get this kind of rough edge. Now we should have had it going across here, so I'm going to just cut in quite strong on that side and also on the other. And again, go around in this entire section like this. I don't need to go too much, but we'll try that. We could also, I guess, have kind of like a center area here, and I'm just going to cut through here to have a look what it looks like. So then I'm actually just going to turn off this layer and go to this one and undo it here. And this should look quite interesting, because we're going to basically be cutting through here. It might look a bit weird, but we'll kind of find out. Actually, I do need to turn that layer on to make sure that I've cut out more than this there. Right. This is going to look weird, but I'm going to try it out. So I'll just do export again. And just do, there we go, export. And I'll catch you guys in game to kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so let's have a look at the effect of this. So straight away you can see that it's kind of flattened it out. Also, we've now kind of unsmoothed it a little bit too much. But actually, this would make a really good start for a Dwarven fortress, because it's kind of really straight. It's kind of really straight cut, especially on the roof. It's kind of a bit rounded, but very Dwarven kind of oval, I guess. But now at least we can walk across here, and you can see why I kind of varied the terrain the first time, because this just looks a bit boring. But we've already kind of got a path in a cave. So let's have a look over here. So you can actually see the path a little bit better now. It's kind of just clear cut. You could obviously put in your own pillars down here. These still look the same, these weird triangle things we put in, but very cool. So you can see what you can do just with using 2 cave layers to create this kind of weird thing. This middle section now, I actually need to go around it a little bit more. Though that still looks kind of weird and cool at the same time. So there you go. So I kind of emptied that out. We've already got some weird Dwarven pillars going on. Naturally, that's cool. Especially with these bottom bits, look, they're kind of a rounder. It's kind of like natural stuff, except for this weird overhang. I was actually planning on going over here, but this is how to kind of create, you know, platforms in a way, which is quite cool. And I think you agree. And I'll show you another way to kind of create a platform with still kind of getting the same roof style. And these are the kind of windows that I was doing, and they look a lot better now, especially those 3 there. And I think that actually works quite Dwarven kind of like in a way. So obviously, you know, you could then build, you know, your own Dwarven, well, not out of gravel, but, you know, your own little Dwarven houses and stuff. Kind of using this around a kind of central open area, and you can have, you know, mines going down here and having them cutting out, all that stuff. So we'll quickly just go over a couple of other things. This I made ridiculously straight, as you can see. That's a bit too straight, actually. Kind of wanted it to be a little bit rounded. Same with that one as well. But we'll kind of do like a central, we'll try and make, basically inside this cavern we want a central pillar, but we still want the roof to be similar, and I've got an idea for how to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to create yet another cave layer. So we've got 3 cave layers going on. Custom cave layer. Choose where we want the actual platform to go. We're going to do it a little bit higher. We're going to do it at 60, 70 even, 79. We'll do it 10 blocks higher than the kind of outside ring. That was ceiling. Oops. So we want the ceiling at fixed depth, and we want it to mirror the settings that we had before. So if we have this on, I think it was 20. I actually need to check quickly. Unfortunately, you can't copy this and just kind of make a copy of it. So we need 20, 20, 3. There we go for those settings. So we've got 20, 20, and 3. And obviously we'd have to match the materials as well, which I think was mainly stone. And that was 300% of that. And then we had 5% of the glowstone. So we'll grab that. Get back there. 5, 5, ooh. Put that in there. Now the floor, this is where instead before we had it really low down. We don't want that. We actually want the floor to be at about, I don't know, 79 maybe? 70, 80? 80. We'll go with 80. And again, you could put some cool material. We're going to make it out of... I don't know what we're going to make it out of. Let's have a look at what we've got that's quite cool. Make it out of gold blocks or something. I don't know. I don't really care. Make it out of lapis. Yeah, we're going to make the floor out of lapis. And just lapis. That's it. The walls, we would need that to kind of match, I guess. I'm not too sure. I'll just have a look at what they had for the walls here. 50 on those walls. So we're going to do the same. We're going to whack that up to 50. Even though it shouldn't affect it, they shouldn't really exist. But you can see how the curve there is on the walls now. And the same on the top as well. So that will kind of curve that part. So you can actually see it when you do it with big numbers. Now I'm going to call this platform C. So platform cave. And because it's lapis, it's going to be this kind of deep blue. Just go OK. And we're going to whack that one there. Just like that. And now what we want to do, so we click on our Dwarven Sea. We want to actually get this to disappear from here. We don't want this kind of cavern to cut out this platform. So what you do is you click on the Dwarven Sea thing, and we do only on layer, and we do only on platform C. And we just minus, and it will only take the kind of Dwarven Sea layer off that platform. And that gives us a perfect cut between the two. Especially with this kind of tool here. So we've got that now. We're going to now try this and have a look at what it looks like. I'm actually going to quickly, just this outer layer because it was looking a bit square, put this up to 7 for example. We'll try 7 out. So let's render this out, have a look at it, and we'll see any improvements we can do. Okay, so we're in game yet again. So let's have a look at this. 7 has kind of rounded off a little bit. What we could have actually done with is cutting out kind of the middle so we have a pillar. I may try that before the end of this. I might show you guys after I've played around. You also do sometimes get these floating blocks. There's not really much you can do about them. It's to do with these spikes here. So like I was saying before, some of the spikes go down. Some of them, as you can see here, go kind of inwards. You get these kind of inverted spikes in a way. To make the other spikes look bigger without making them bigger. But let's just fly around here. We've got now the roof. Lots of light in that. We'll probably have to turn that down and make it more spiky, I reckon. And I'm also going to try that before the end. I'll have a play around and show you guys the end kind of product. So I did something weird here. But that looks weird. Look at that. That's cool. So something went wrong here. I'm not too sure. It means that I've kind of messed around with a layer a bit too much. But over here, we've got this huge platform. But I don't think it's actually a platform. I think it's kind of like a big tub. So that's what I've made. A gigantic dish. Yes, that's what we wanted. A gigantic goblet. And I have no idea why we did that or how we did that. But we have created one. And also this looks crazy. That looks kind of cool. It looks like it's got supports on it. So that's kind of naturally quite cool. So that's the attempt at making a platform. And it didn't work. But it is very cool. So... you know, there's that to keep in mind. And I really like these windows type things. They look awesome. So if I was doing a thing around the side, I'd probably do loads of those kind of natural ones. So the kind of central pillar did fail. Probably best to just build it yourself. But what you could do is use that kind of technique so that you get the spikes going up to it. If that makes sense. Or you could just do the straight pillar going up. And then just, you know, world edit or MC edit and just cut the head out of like a section of it. Something like that would be very, very cool. And if we fly up, again, I just want to have a quick look at this. This is really strange. It's the first time I've actually tried it. It didn't work quite like I was thinking about it, but Still not too bad. So let's try and make this a bit spikier to try and make it fit in. I'm going to have a play with the settings quickly, just to see what we can kind of further do, and if there's anything I need to add. But I will kind of catch you guys after that. Hi guys, so I've had a quick mess around, so I've got these kind of double entrances because why the hell not? It's mainly just to try it out, I guess. But it could make it quite an interesting kind of style. What this did do actually, which is really awesome, is because I had that cave going underneath it, which is the main cavern, it kind of made this cool slanted thing. So I didn't even know it was kind of aware of that, but possible to do that. I've also extended this cave down to show you guys. I put a little bit of lava in just for lighting. But I extended this cave around so you can make these kind of deep kind of passageways. It's kind of similar to the deep roads in Dragon Age. But this is cool, as you can see. Just kind of these endless caves. And they all kind of wrap around. But that's just using that kind of fixed length thing. And it's using the same kind of brush. And I'll show you that when we go into World Painter. I'll show you kind of the edits that I've done. And it's not too much that you guys have missed at all. Just me playing around with some of the settings. So we've now got that as well, so you can see how cool that would be if you kind of had some way down to it with this central pillar. So if we go around one of the side places, I made these roofs a little bit spikier. One thing you would need to do with the pillars actually is push them back, and I think I cut into, yeah, you can see the side bit here is a bit weird, but that does create a kind of cool spiky bit there. I rounded off these edges. And I figured out the goddamn platform. So we've got a platform without any sort of kind of world edit or anything like that. The roof still goes weird. I'm going to have a play around kind of at some point to do with the roof. But all I did is I just went nuts with the glowstone instead to try and make it look like some... I don't really know what it is. But it's a bit of a shame about that. With the smaller one as well, I made a smaller one over here. Because I was going to try and... basically make something small here, and then I was thinking about if it was possible to basically by hand, you know, wrap it around and make just spikes, so you could have a massive spike here going down and on one. As you can see as well, I've continued that kind of window effect, these kind of pillar effect in a way, going around the natural ones, and it looks kind of cool. What I did notice though, obviously because of the cave, it actually does cut it off kind of halfway, so you might want to have kind of like an area going around it first as well. And then have the natural pillars, kind of a couple of blocks back. I think that would work a lot better, kind of a lot better. So there's that. I don't think there's too much else really. That was pretty much all I've just played with. Getting this kind of platform thing to work, and all the other stuff, just kind of adding even more spikes. So we'll just go for the kind of changed effect, not effects, but changed settings to kind of show you guys that. Okay, so this is what we've got now, this kind of crazy yellow thing. So we'll go over the kind of outer layer, and well, we do not want to remove that. That was very close. So what I've done is the floor, I've got a little bit of variation, you know, 69, that was fine. The spikes, I put those up on variation to 25 at level 104, roughness normal, and the walls at 7. That seemed to just work absolutely fine. You can always pause the screen if you want to grab these settings for this one. We're now going to go on to the Dwarven, the main cavern layer. So if we just edit this. So this didn't really change at all, to be honest. It was pretty much constant. All I did is just flood the caves and kind of tunnel layer. And I just flooded it at kind of 22, I think it was, because the bottom of the kind of floor is 10. So when you have the kind of curved walls, as you can see here, it kind of worked out quite nicely. But there's no real setting changes. For the platform, now this was a bit weird. The kind of way that I got it to work, I found out that the walls were the thing that were making it kind of do that weird goblet shape. So get rid of the walls, put those on 0, and that'll fix it. That'll make it kind of flat, completely flat. So those walls do mess it up. Even if I just add 1, it would start to kind of create a bowl. So it's kind of strange, and because we had that up quite high to try and match the roof, it kind of changed, and it's still kind of doing that weird thing on the roof, and I don't know how to fix it. But I'm going to have a play. So if you want to pause again, just have a look at this if you do want to have something like that. And all I did for the actual floor is I put in lapis and glowstone so you guys could see that. But that's it pretty much for that layer, and pretty much for the tutorial. You can see the under kind of ground layer here. You have to make it quite thick for it to actually work. And if I turn off these other 2 layers, There we go. You can see how kind of wide that is. So that was our kind of main channel. I just basically brought that down, but it still kind of worked with the terrain. So you can actually just kind of have two dwarven kind of places, and you can even have stuff like that. So it makes it kind of a bit different, especially with this yellow one that we have here. I kind of wrapped it around it, and it created that cool kind of effect. But that's pretty much it for the tutorial. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. It's a bit of a different one. Hopefully I've just given you guys some ideas of the kind of cave tool and kind of broaden your kind of knowledge of it. And also, as always, you know, make sure that you kind of comment what you want to see next and what you want to kind of have improved, or any ideas, kind of wacky ideas, as this Dwarven one was actually requested as well, and hopefully you've got kind of a bit more knowledge on that. So if you've enjoyed the video, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.